The project I'm going to be showing you today is something I've been dreaming of working on ever since I started drawing maps. As some of you may know from following my journey here or on Patreon, a lot of my time working towards this moment have been spent retooling software made by other creators to achieve parts of what I had in mind, using tools like Dungeon Draft, Photoshop, and Foundry Virtual Tabletop. In the background during all of this, however, I was spending a lot of my time trying to put together a team that will make it possible to achieve my own dream map making tool. Looking for people with a specific set of skills acquired over a long career. This year, I was able to finally assemble that team. Now, after months of testing out the basics and working towards a phase 1 working demo, I'd like to show you what we've made so far and talk about what we have in mind for the future. For the first phase of the project, the goal was to make sure we can get the basics working. Have animated scenes that include a dynamic lighting system, which we can export for use in any virtual tabletop or for an in-person gaming table with miniatures on top. What that basically boils down to is having a random encounter map maker without any complex bodies of water just yet. In its current state, the map maker allows you to select any of 7 settings. These include summer forest scenes, fall and winter, 2 desert variations, and a red wasteland setting inspired by one of my favorite D&D shows, Fantasy High by Dimension 20. And last but not least, a jungle setting that I've been fine-tuning for some time now. What sets it aside from any other tool is that every object in our map maker is accompanied with a set of lighting and shadow maps. So where in the past I had to choose to either integrate a baked-in shadow on an object, meaning light would be only coming in from one direction, or choose to leave it without any shadows for the end user to manually paint these in themselves. Now an object will cast shadow on itself the moment it's placed, and also cast a shadow on its environment. The most intricately designed objects as of yet using this system are trees, which use multi-layered cast shadows to give the illusion that when the sun gets lower, we actually get what appears to be a side view from our tree, plus an internal lighting map that makes it so that we can rotate the light in any direction. To really punch things up, we also gave each object key pieces of data like how high are you off the ground? Are you floating? Are you affected by wind, etc.? These pieces of data make it so that when you place an object, you can choose to stack them, which is visible in the shadows that they cast, allowing for interesting construction design in the future, or to allow you to instantly place them underneath objects that are larger. Later on, when we move into constructing buildings, it will make it very easy to stack things like a table, which is adorned with tablecloth, plates, food, bottles, and whatever types of decoration you have in mind. All these tricks are basically the ground floor to build what is aimed at being a cozy editor of sorts, without too much manual input from the player to nudge it all into place. If you try out the demo where it stands right now, it's still rather basic, placing objects one by one without any terrain tools yet, but in due time the goal would be to make this all a lot more intuitive. Way back when, I would generally reference The Sims for people to understand what I was wanting to work towards. But maybe nowadays I might refer to something like TinyGlade, which is an excellent example of what a cozy editor is supposed to look like. Most of the art direction, like what I want the bodies of water to look like in this phase, is based on the cozy art style of movies like the ones by Studio Ghibli, creating rivers, lakes, and oceans in these maps, adding buildings that you can copy and paste, with special 2D effects like ripples of wind, falling leaves, little critters crawling around the terrain, and birds flying overhead as you work on your creations. It's a passion project, currently made possible for me and others to work on through the support of patrons. That's why we're building the tool in phases, so that patrons will be able to test it for themselves as we go along. if you like what you're seeing, consider supporting the project yourself at patreon.com/crosshead. I'm making sure that you'll get something for each level of support. That includes animated maps I've exported using the tool to test whatever we're working on at the moment at the base level, and a downloadable demo of the tool at whatever stage we are at the point you decide to support. If you're watching this in the future, that hopefully means a fully realized map maker with all the tools I've mentioned in this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.